Hello, this is artist Maria Burke here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I am going to be working on this little painting. It's started off as hydrangeas. I had some beautiful bluey purple hydrangeas that I had just bought and planted in the garden, and I was really enthusiastic about them. And as I started working on them, they began to change, and now they're just more general abstracted flower shapes, and there's kind of a little bit of a Japanese theme coming into it as well. So it's just very fun to paint in this style. I'm painting acrylic on paper, so it's really easy, clean, straightforward to do. And everybody's got a bit of, you just need something, a good quality paper. Acrylic paper is great, but you can use a good quality card or watercolor or whatever you have. And you need water, and you need some good quality. It's good to have good quality. If you're buying acrylic paints, just buy a few colors, but buy good quality rather than buying a big set that are poor quality. But even if you don't have good quality paints, you can still use them up for doing the underpainting. So we'll get started on this, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm just using some orange paint, and I've put this into it's in portrait orientation, and normally I go for landscape. I prefer having the landscape, especially when I'm making YouTube videos, because they fit in much better into the screen. But and I will be turning this paper to the landscape, on its side in a few minutes. But just at the moment, all I'm doing is messing around with the background. I used a cadmium orange and sap green, and I'm really wet on wet, using a lot of water here and blending those two colors in together. And because the page is quite wet, I've dabbed it, I'm dabbing it and taking some of the excess paint off, and that's dried up the page, and it's enabled me to be able to use a water-based felt tip pen. And here I am drawing in the flower shapes. Now, I was looking at a hydrangea because I had bought a hydrangea plant, and I brought it indoors before I planted it, and it had beautiful flowers in it, and I just had it on the table. You can see it there up on the top left corner. And I'm looking at the shapes but really not paying a huge amount of attention to them, but generally looking at the shapes of the flowers and the leaves and working on that. So here I'm adding colors to my palette, and really got a good mix of colors there, and adding white to that green. I'm just coming straight in with the white and mixing this color on the palette, or on the painting rather than on the palette, and building up those leaves and adding in those the color of those hydrangeas is absolutely gorgeous. I just love the color. It really attracted me. So filling in these shapes generally, but as I go on in the painting, I wasn't happy with how it was looking, so I changed those leaves quite a bit, but really the flower heads have stayed quite similar. So it does move away from the adhering strictly to the hydrangea idea and to realism. It does move away from that, as you could see, as you saw from the image that I showed you in the beginning, and it just became more of a pattern, more Japanese style. But here, yeah, it was good to bring in the plant and observe it. And from time to time, I do that. I look at photographs, or I look at reality, and that was great to have the plant in reality and be able to bring it indoors and sit it on the table before I planted it. And by the way, that plant is doing really well since I planted it in the garden. It's just absolutely, it was just a small little pot, and now it's actually quite a big hydrangea. There's no flowers on it anymore, but I'm really looking forward to getting a lot of big flower heads and working more on them next summer. So here, yeah, just again, using the white to bring out the highlights in those petals. And, you know, rather than sticking with that permanent purple that came straight out of the tube, I'm adding in some pink into this, just to bring out the pink aspect in those purpley coloured hydrangea petals. So coming in with my darker green there, working on the leaves. As you can see, the plant, I keep turning the plant around to have a closer look at it. So yeah, adding blues into the greens to give me lots of different shades in the leaves. And I'm just skipping forward a little bit. And I think I was quite happy with the flower shapes, but the leaves just, they did not look, they weren't what I was going for. There was just something about the leaf shapes that I wasn't happy with. So as I go on, you'll see that I begin to change the background and really abstract the background more. So yeah, working on darks here. I think I added some of that. I have a very deep green and it's beautiful. It's like a sap green, something similar to a sap green, but it's beautiful. And I use this raw umber brown as well. And it's just so useful with the acrylics to use them because they give just very, very earthy shades into the acrylic paint, which I like very much. So working on the low lights now, on the depth. So every painting is a process, and sometimes I paint something and, you know, even members of my family will say, I really like that, that's a lovely painting. And for some reason I keep looking at it and I'm not happy with it. And I can never resist the temptation to come back and change it. And really it's experimenting all the time with different shapes, different ideas to bring what I'm doing forward. And I think I'm never 100% happy with sticking with something that's totally realistic. Even if when I am working from nature, I want to bring it beyond that and make it more playful, make it more about the painting. I suppose I'm always trying to create something new and to develop a style. And really it's very, very intuitive. And you're just guided really by your intuition on what type of style you want to go for. So as you can see, I'm going back and forwards, lightening. This is always a theme, and I see other artists doing it, lightening, putting in the highlights, then darkening it down again. And when you do that several times and it doesn't seem to be working, you've got to just stand back and rethink what is going on in this painting. Am I making it worse or am I making it better? So again, going back into the flower heads, bringing more definition, which I really did need to do, bring more highlights and definition. And I'm spreading the flowers around more. I think I decided I was going to make this more about the flowers and add more flowers in, which I was glad I did in the end. So bit by bit, those leaves are disappearing in the background. and going more for the style I was working on with these flowers at this time was just to go more for patterned shapes and like Japanese florals or Chinese florals. So yeah, there will be some bit of a change coming now in a minute or two, so just bear with me until then. Adding in the red to see if that would make any difference. And adding in the centers to those flowers. And I think at this point, when I started using this brush and adding in the swirling shapes, I decided to get rid of the background completely and paint over those leaves. So that's what I did. And as you can see, I've gone in for more of a close-up here. So my head, you'll see my head coming into the painting from time to time. So yeah, completely, ruthlessly, I just painted out the background and left just whatever flower shapes I thought that I liked and that I would need. And back to that brush. Now that isn't exactly a rigger brush, but it is a very thin brush, and I'm using it the way you'd use a rigger, just to put in those little leaf shapes. So rather than going for the type of hydrangea type of leaves, I'm going more for a different type of flower. I've changed the idea to make it a different type of flower, and putting in different style of leaves. And as this went on, actually, I'm really happy with the painting now. I think it is a lot better, and I think this is the first painting where I really have kind of gone in for more of the Japanese style. So please excuse my head from coming in, but I think you can still see what I'm doing, and I didn't want to edit too much of it out at this point, because the painting develops pretty quickly after this and I finish it up. So again, because I had painted so much of the background out, I had to come back in and outline some of those flowers again. And it's going in and out of focus a little bit because my head, the camera is focusing on my head, and then it's focusing on the flowers. But yeah, it's coming into shape, and I think I'm just a lot happier with this idea. It's got more dimensions to it. I'm able to add in the smaller flowers with the larger flowers that I initially had, and adding in that kind of blurry type of background, almost like a very dark sky or a very evening sky in the distance, and the idea of plants hanging in a garden. So I'll just keep going and just leave. Please watch the video to the end and you'll see exactly how it turned out. And don't forget to subscribe and to share if you like this video, and if you find it interesting, do let me know and comment and let me know what you think about the way this style is developing. And finishing off there with adding in just more detail into the center of the flowers. So they're not hydrangeas anymore. They're something else out of my imagination. But the hydrangeas did get me going in the beginning. And maybe next summer I'll come back and paint have another go at the hydrangeas when they're in flower again. So until I talk to you again, keep watching out for my videos. Usually I have them out every Tuesday. And until I talk to you again, have a great week and God bless. Bye-bye.